afternoon, everyone, and welcome to News 3 Now live at 4 on this Monday. Hope you all had a nice weekend. Interesting day around here today.
It's a good thing we're here and on time.
Like you were on the air.
Yes.
Right afternoon, right after lunch, everybody was coming back from lunch, and you started smelling smoke.
Right, I smelled smoke in the newsroom. A couple of people did. It sort of smelled like a soldering iron.
Electrical fire.
Electrical fire, right.
And sure enough,
yes,
it was. And there we are. This is not a drill. Everyone out of the newsroom. And here comes the fire department.
It was an interesting afternoon.
And this is it was a bathroom fire. A ventilating fan in a bathroom shorted out. And there's actually flames on the ground. But Madison Fire Department is here quickly. They're right down the street and put everything out. And now fumigating the place.
Smells like we've all been cooking s'mores all afternoon.
This is what's left of the bathroom.
Yep.
Yikes.
Yeah. So luckily, nobody was hurt. Everything's okay, back to normal. But a little bit of cleanup is going to be involved, and our good friends at the fire department.
And we had a little bonding time outside.
Yeah, I always say the worst situations make the best stories later, and that's sort of what happened today.
Yeah, but we're all safe and sound, and that's good. And here's what else is making news today. The jury has been selected in the sexual assault trial of former Badger Quintus Cephas.
Athletes from around the world are descending on Madison this week for the CrossFit Games. We'll tell you how that's driving up the city's Airbnb market.
And at least 4 people are dead after a mass shooting at a music festival about a half-hour south of San Jose.
And a little later this hour, we'll be taking your calls and questions for Dr. Zorba Pastor. But let's take a look outside today. Boy, great summer afternoon.
Lake Wingra?
Have you ever tried this stand-up paddleboarding?
We did a story on it, remember?
Yeah, I love it. I don't have one, but it's really fun.
It's a great way to get around. Sunny and pleasant, the weather words, as is Dana Fulton, who's in the backyard. Nice week coming up.
Really nice week. We're going to stay pretty pleasant outside, so all of our paddleboarding friends, you're good to go for your lake plans or any outdoor plans. Here's a live look from our WISC-TV sky cam. A few clouds, one just passed on overhead, so we got a little shady out here for a second, but we do have a lot of sunshine also. Looking at our Doppler track, no rain showers moving on in. Of course, we did wake up this morning with a little bit of rain, but it won't be the case for us overnight nor for the next several days. 82 currently in Madison, closer to about 78 in the Dells, and 80 right now in Platteville. Overnight, or at least through the rest of the evening, our temperatures will stay close to 80 for a little longer and then fall through the 70s. Overnight, we'll drop through the 60s. We'll be comfortable overnight, and we get to stick with the sunshine for the rest of the week. Nothing new moving in. That's the good news. We're in a nice little pattern for the next several days. We'll take a closer look at what's ahead for the rest of the week, though, in just a few minutes. Right now, here's the roads. The Beltline right at Park Street, actually both east and westbound seem to be going along just fine. No accidents to report. Eastbound's only getting just a little slow close to John Nolan Drive. Heading up towards Wanakee or DeForest, looking pretty smooth for your commute this evening. 27 minutes from Janesville to the Beltline, 16 minutes to get from Sauk City to Middleton and from Sun Prairie to downtown on this beautiful Monday. No case of the Monday blues when it's this sunny outside. Again, for the next few days, we get to keep the sunshine around, but there may be a little bit of a rain chance by the end of the weekend. So we'll keep you close eye on that one.
All right, we'll check back in a little while. Thanks, Dana.
Topping the news today, authorities in northwestern Wisconsin say shootings at 2 homes have left 5 people dead, including the suspected shooter, and 2 others were injured. Chippewa County Sheriff's officials say deputies responded to a 911 call about a shooting at a residence in Lake Hallie Sunday night and found a man and a woman dead. 2 other adults were rushed to the hospital with gunshot wounds. Deputies went to a residence in the town of Lafayette to notify the family of one of the people found dead in Lake Hallie. There, they found 3 additional people dead of gunshot wounds, including a man, a woman, and a boy.
Well, around 2:30, we decided to make contact with family members of the shooter who was deceased. We went to a residence in Lafayette. We knocked at the door, received no answer, attempted to make a call. Again, no answer. We finally forced our way in, and we found 3 other victims of a homicide.
And again, authorities say the person suspected in both shootings is among the dead.
Police in Northern California are looking for a motive as to why a gunman went on a deadly rampage at a food festival yesterday. 3 people were killed, 12 others were shot, and dozens more were hurt as they ran away. Danya Backus has the latest from Gilroy, California.
Police confirmed the identity of the Gilroy Garlic Festival shooter as 19-year-old Santino William Legan.
And I say that name with some hesitation because I don't believe that somebody like this deserves the notoriety or the recognition.
Investigators say Lugan, armed with an AK-47 type assault rifle, evaded security by cutting through a back fence and then opened fire, killing a man in his 20s, a 13-year-old girl, and a 6-year-old, Stephen Romero, who was playing in a bouncy house. Officers began exchanging gunfire with the suspect within a minute.
Despite the fact that they were outgunned with their handguns against a rifle, those 3 officers were able to fatally wound that suspect, and the event ended very quickly.
The police chief says the suspect purchased his weapon legally just a couple of weeks ago in Nevada on July 9th. Investigators searched Lugan's home early Monday morning, leaving with paper bags and other evidence. One neighbor says he didn't know the suspect very well.
The conversations I had with him, just your normal everyday, young kid.
Another neighbor described the Lugans as a nice, normal family. Police are now checking the suspect's social media accounts and computers to determine whether he was affiliated with any particular groups and whether he acted alone.
The Gilroy community will mourn, but we will get through it.
So far, police do not know the shooter's motive. Danya Backus, CBS News, Gilroy, California.
President Trump condemned the shooter as a wicked murderer, saying the nation would grieve for the victims' families.
National Intelligence Director Dan Coats is leaving the position after serving the Trump administration for the past 2 years. Coats has been known to clash with President Trump on issues including Russian election interference, Iran, and North Korea's nuclear program. The president has already tweeted plans to nominate Texas Congressman John Ratcliffe as Coats' replacement, writing, "John will lead and inspire greatness for the country he loves." Ratcliffe was one of the more outspoken Republicans defending Trump at last week's Mueller hearings. Democrats are voicing concern on Ratcliffe as a replacement.
I agree with the chairman this morning when he said Donald Trump is not above the law. He's not, but he damn sure shouldn't be below the law, which is where volume 2 of this report puts him.
As far as I can tell, his only qualification is loyalty to this president. We need a director of national intelligence who is loyal to this country and the Constitution.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi released a statement that reads, "The departure of DNI Coats is bad news for the security of America. His successor must put patriotism before politics." Dan Coats officially leaves the position August 15th. A jury has been selected in the trial for former Badger football player Quintez Cephas.
The 21-year-old is facing 2 felony sexual assault charges. Our Amanda Quintana is live outside the Dane County Courthouse with more on the issues touched on today. Amanda?
Yes, the judge, assistant DA, and Cephas's lawyers questioned the potential jurors for more than 2 hours this morning. They brought up a lot of social issues that could create bias in this case. You may remember Quintez Cephas was accused by 2 women of sexual assault who say they were drunk one night back in April of last year, and he took advantage of them at his Madison apartment. Cephas was suspended from the UW football team. Jurors were asked today if they're Badger football fans, if they've been to games or watched him play. Another big topic, race.
Who here thinks that having an all-white jury with a black defendant does not have any impact on the verdict?
Jurors also spoke about the idea that athletes, like celebrities, can often feel entitled, but Cephas's attorney brought up the term jersey chaser, suggesting someone could want to be with an athlete just because they're famous. Jurors were also questioned about their support of the Me Too movement and specifically the slogan, "Believe Women." At the end of the day, 24 jurors were cut down to 14, 8 women and 6 men, and all of them were white, and they are of very different backgrounds here, occupational backgrounds.
All right, Amanda Quintana reporting live for us downtown. Thank you.
Hotels and businesses are prepping for the thousands of people coming to Madison for the CrossFit Games.
The games don't start until Thursday, but hotels and Airbnbs are already seeing the economic impact it's bringing as we kick off the week. Jamie Perez spoke with some hotels and CrossFit athletes today about what people can expect to pay for their stay.
Yeah, well, actually, some hotels are charging relatively the same price as a typical week, but some are increasing their prices by about 2 to 2.5 times the amount they would normally charge. Now, they do this obviously to keep up with the demand and to keep up with other competition during the CrossFit Games. An Airbnb spokesperson told me that while they don't have an estimate about how much they expect hosts here to make from the games, they say that this year's CrossFit Games are expected to bring in the most guests ever in Madison. Hotels actually keep an eye on Airbnb prices to determine what they're going to charge.
I keep an eye on Airbnbs and pricing in the market and availability. Just as a hotelier, it's something we have to be cognizant of because it is something we have to think about with competition.
Hotels do expect to be fully booked as we get closer to Thursday when the games start. And I also spoke to some CrossFit Game athletes, a couple from Poland and several others from the Dominican Republic. Now, most of them are paying around $250 a night. And you just think about that. That's more than $1,500 a week for the whole week here, and that's not including the airline ticket that it took to get from their countries to here, the travel while they're here, the food. So it's very expensive for them to be here this week.
I think I have a spare room. Rent out.
There you go, Airbnb it.
Jamie, thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Jamie. College football fans got some exciting news today. The Wisconsin Badgers will take on the Alabama Crimson Tide for a couple of games in the future. The Badgers will play Alabama on September 14th, 2024 in Madison. The following year, the two teams will play in Alabama on September 15th. That's kind of a big deal.
Mark your calendars. 5 years from now.
Yeah, that's okay. It'll go by fast.
Well, there's more at 4. Have you been apartment shopping in Madison recently?
Well, if you have, then you know finding an affordable apartment in Madison can be very difficult. We'll find out why when Live at 4 continues.
Well, each year, about 24 million Americans fall victim to phone scams.
Now, there is an elaborate new con that has people believing their bank is preventing a problem when in reality it is a criminal looking to steal money. Victims say it starts with a simple text asking you if you tried to spend a certain amount of money on your credit or debit card. The phone then rings and someone on the line is pretending to be your bank. The scammers will have key information like addresses, the last 4 digits of your credit card, and that's how they convince you that they really are with your bank. The scammer will eventually ask you for your PIN, and that's what you don't want to give out because that's how they're able to get into your account and steal your money. Cybersecurity expert Scott Schober says scams are getting a lot more sophisticated.
It should make the phone call to your phone there.
And there it is.
And there it is.
And there's the number.
Exactly. So it appears right now, you think that, ooh, that's my bank. And it just spoofs you.
Schober says it's very difficult for police to catch these criminals because the crimes are almost always untraceable. Real banks will help you get the money back, though. So you have to have a healthy dose of skepticism anytime.
That is scary.
It is very scary.
Right, getting very, very sophisticated. Well, stocks backed away from record highs today as investors look forward to interest rate cuts from the Federal Reserve. The Dow Industrials managed 28-point gain, but the NASDAQ lost 36 and the S&P 500 gave up 4. The city of Madison currently has a vacancy apartment rate of around 3%.
Now, that's 2 points below what is considered a healthy vacancy rate in the United States. More demand from millennials and seniors is making it very expensive to rent in Madison, and many people say they just can't afford it.
Joining us now is Steve Potter, who wrote a feature about all of this in the current issue of Madison Magazine. Welcome. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you.
So what kind of numbers are we talking about here for rent?
Well, I found that the average studio apartment is going for more than $900 now, and then it can also go all the way up to about $2,000 or almost $2,000 for a 3-bedroom apartment.
And that's if you can find an apartment.
That's if you can find it. It's really very tight market and very expensive.
So what's going on?
So I think it's 2 things that are going on. The first is a lack of availability. There's just a lot of people looking for apartments. And then you couple that with the lack of affordability as well. Dane County has always had a very steady growth, and the city of Madison has also had a steady growth, as you mentioned, in population, as well as, you know, millennials are renting longer, and some retirees are downsizing from owning to renting.
And is the demand on the rental market increased because of a tight housing market as well? It's a seller's market right now. There's not a lot of inventory on the market, is there?
Indeed, there's not. There is a lot of construction going on, but it's the high-end construction for these rental units, and that's due to high construction costs.
Yeah, you see all the big apartment buildings on East Washington. Those are expensive to rent.
Yeah.
Hold a lot of people, but pricey.
Yes, very expensive. There are a number of folks who can afford them, however. So the market is matching with what those folks can afford. Those happen to be between $1,200 and $1,500 for a 1-bedroom apartment.
You profiled a family that really has gone through this, struggled for months to find an affordable place to live. Tell us a little bit about their experience.
Sure. I spoke to one mother, a mother of 2, a family of 4. They thought when they had to move because their landlord was selling their house that they'd maybe take a week to find a place. It ended up taking them 3 months. She was dealing with scammers who were renting or listing places that didn't exist. Landlords weren't calling her back. She ended up having to move her family into an RV camper owned by her parents for a couple months, and then they did finally find a place, but it was just a really difficult struggle.
And why'd they lose the original place?
Their landlord was just selling the place, and I think the new person was probably going to increase the rent beyond their budget.
So people are getting priced out of the market.
Yes.
If you're willing to drive a bit, does it help? Do you find a place in like Mount Horeb or Stoughton? Or?
I focused primarily on the city, but I do think that is what's pushing folks out to the suburbs as well, is just the cost of living and the availability.
Is there anything positive that you found in the rental situation here? Is there a kind of a silver lining in the situation?
I haven't found one, to be honest. You know,
really?
Everyone that I've talked to had some kind of a horror story. You know, it's not difficult for college students to find a place, but they've got a number of options there. You know, they've got a very set area and a set number of places, and they stay somewhere for a couple years and then they move.
If you're a single person, it'd be pretty tough to rent a place, I would think.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I could afford it if I was single. Just the costs of, let's say, if I got a studio, almost $1,000 once you include utilities and that, and that's just rent. That's not paying to own.
Wow. bad situation.
Yeah.
It's probably going to get worse.
Yeah, what do you see coming down the road?
I see that the city is going to try to do some new things with the mayor is interested in what she calls workforce housing, which is not the luxury stuff. So we'll see if they have some movement there. But I'm not sure what else can be done.
It's a really interesting story, and you can read much more about it in the current issue of this month. It's in this month's Madison magazine.
Steve, thanks for being with us.
Great to see you. Thank you.
Well, coming up next on Live at 4, movie critic Will Loper will tell us what he thinks of the film Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
And then coming up tonight on News 3 Now at 5, there could be some changes coming to Madison, and the city wants to hear from you about them. We'll share the details at 5.
We'll take a look at this. People in Las Vegas are hoping what happens in Vegas will not stay in Vegas. Thousands of grasshoppers descended on the Strip, and they're not leaving anytime soon. A wet spring season in southern Nevada spawned grasshoppers so large they showed up on weather radar. And now stink bugs are on their way to Sin City. Experts say the invasion expected to last for a few more weeks. And although the bugs are not dangerous, they sure are creepy.
I've got friends that live there. They've been posting them on their car windows.
Oh, it's got to be crunchy.
And it just gross.
Driving all over them?
Yes.
It almost looks like snow, doesn't it?
The worst kind of snow.
Right, yeah.
Grasshopper snow.
Baskin-Robbins is going vegan with 2 non-dairy flavors of ice cream.
You'll be able to get non-dairy chocolate chip cookie dough and non-dairy chocolate extreme starting August 1st. Baskin-Robbins says the new flavors are made with a blend of coconut oil and almond butter. The company says its culinary team worked for more than 2 years to perfect the non-dairy flavors. Of course, its ices and sherbets are already dairy-free, but the company wanted to nail down a creamy vegan treat, and you can try them yourself for free. Baskin-Robbins is actually giving out samples of both non-dairy flavors Sunday afternoon, August 4th.
I
That sounds
assume the dairy farmers of Wisconsin are not behind this.
No. They're
But the vegans of Wisconsin are.
Vegans of Wisconsin are great, and I love beef, but I also love almond milk and almond butter, so that sounds right up my alley, too.
Well, try it.
Try everything. And it's, of course, great weather to go get some ice cream or custard or sherbet or whatever floats your boat. Nice and sunny outside. Temperatures are pretty pleasant, and our dew points staying low for the week. We'll take a closer look at what's ahead right after the break. Such a lovely day right now. A lot of sunshine. Our Doppler track's nice and quiet. Of course, this morning we did start off with some rain, but that rain now off to the east, moving through Michigan. Nothing new sliding in for us. We're going to get to enjoy some sun for a little bit. Here's a live look from our WISC-TV sky cam. Right now we're at about 82 degrees, so very close to average. A little bit of a breeze coming from the northwest, about 10 miles per hour, but the dew point close to 60. It's actually just going to decrease a little bit over the next few days, so that it's going to be even more comfortable outside as we head towards Tuesday and Wednesday afternoons. Overall, we got sunshine for this afternoon. So again, that cold front that drove these storms through overnight and early this morning now off to the east. Another small one up to the north, but no moisture associated with it. We're just looking at some high pressure starting to ridge in now. That's going to keep us pretty sunny outside and pretty clear and pretty quiet for the next several days. We don't have any new systems moving in. Our pattern stays pretty settled and pretty comfortable. We're again at 82 in Madison, low 80s for most of southern Wisconsin. Our dew points again close to 60 for most of the area. So that means we're all just sitting in the same boat. That's good news. Dew points compared to this time yesterday, though, quite a bit lower, not just for us, but especially if you head up to the north. La Crosse, about a 10-degree drop. Marshfield, about an 8-degree drop in those dew points in the last 24 hours. So we stay mostly clear overnight. It's pretty comfortable. We'll start the day off in the upper 50s, close to 60. Tuesday, we have a mostly sunny sky. Our breeze still coming from the north, so that means our temperatures, of course, will at least stay close to average, if not just a little bit below. Wednesday also looks mostly clear, so a nice little pattern for the middle of the week. Overnight lows will drop for us with that clear sky. We will fall to the upper 50s. And then in the afternoon, plan on a mostly sunny sky. Afternoon high should only be in the upper 70s tomorrow. So a really nice day. Heading into your Wednesday, we don't have anything new moving in. It'll be even cooler early in the morning, close to the mid-50s for those overnight lows. So a very pleasant start to your Wednesday. And then by Wednesday afternoon, we'll be back close to 84 afternoon highs. So another very seasonal day. Again, wrapping up July and heading into August with some nice sunny weather. Plan on our overnight lows landing close to 58, so it's still seasonal. Mostly clear sky and just very comfortable outside. A breeze still coming from the northwest, but it'll be calm. Nothing that you'll really notice at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. And then tomorrow, plan on those temperatures in the mid to upper 70s, mostly sunny sky and pleasant outside for your Tuesday. Temperature-wise for the next few days, we are going to steadily warm on up. It'll go slow, but we'll get there. Mid-70s on Tuesday, and then heading into the weekend, notice that our temperatures will increase a little bit there. We'll be in the mid-80s by Saturday, and that's going to come along with a little more humidity. Sunshine stretching through the rest of the work weekend into Saturday. Our next system, it's not going to slide in until we get into Sunday. Sunday, we do have the chance for some showers and thunderstorms developing. Not a great chance, but it's something that we will be keeping an eye on in the afternoon. And then into the following week, the first full week of August, another very seasonal stretch of weather. Temperatures will be hovering close to 80, and we'll continue on with our dry, quiet, sunshiny trend. It should be a really pleasant extension of the week. Not expecting any big jumps or hops in our temperatures through the next 10 days. That's a quick look at your forecast.
All right, what's the matter, partner?
It's official, old buddy. Well, has been.
I'm Sharon Tate. I'm in the movie.
You're in this?
That's me. I play Miss Carlson, the klutz.
Charlie's gonna dig you.
And that gospel group
That was a clip from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, one of the newest movies to hit theaters.
Is it worth seeing? Here to let us know what he thinks is our film critic, Will Loper. Hi, Will.
Hey, guys. All right, so thankfully, writer-director Quentin Tarantino, he has cut back on his endless scenes of self-indulgent dialogue and delivered a movie that's incredibly entertaining from start to finish. So Leonardo DiCaprio stars as Rick Dalton, a down-on-his-luck actor trying to make his mark in Hollywood. Brad Pitt plays Cliff Booth, his stunt double and longtime friend. Next door, Sharon Tate, played by Margot Robbie, moves in. Now, I'd tell you the story to this movie, but there really isn't much of one. It's just kind of a series of scenes alternating between Rick, Cliff, and Sharon, and the Manson family as well. Now, that would probably be the death of any other movie, but in this one, each scene is so darn enjoyable that it really doesn't matter. Having an incredible cast also helps. In addition to Pitt, DiCaprio, and Robbie, we also get Al Pacino, Dakota Fanning, Kurt Russell, and many more. So this movie combines the jumping around plot of Pulp Fiction with just one scene of extreme violence that, we've all come to expect from Tarantino. But the film is still well worth seeing for the cast and some of Tarantino's best writing in years.
Now, we saw a couple glimpses of Mike Moe, Wanake's very own.
Wanakee native, claim to fame there. He's fantastic.
How big of a role did he play?
He's really in just one flashback. It's pretty small, but it's easily one of the best scenes in the movie. He and Brad Pitt kind of spar a little bit, and it's hilarious.
And this is the first time that Pitt and DiCaprio have been in the same movie.
Yeah, and Tarantino kind of talked about this was the meeting of Robert Redford and Paul Newman. I don't know if I'd go that far, but I mean, it's great to see two Hollywood heavyweights act together in scenes. Yeah.
But it's easy to follow the storyline, even though there's not really a storyline?
Yeah, I mean, there really isn't. It's just sort of like, oh, here's a day on set with Leo playing in a Western, and oh, here's Brad Pitt going out to the Manson family ranch, and here's, and you just sort of go with it.
But in the end, it all ties together.
It all ties together, and it's super, super entertaining.
What a moment for Mike Moe.
Yeah.
Boy, I'm really proud of him.
Okay, what's the rating here?
We give this one 4 Brad Pitts and Leos out of 5. Great pairing. They said they loved working together.
And this... supposedly, this is his second to last movie, Tarantino's.
He has said he's only making 10. This is number 9. We'll see if he holds true to that. Yeah.
All right. Next week.
Oh, we got Hobbs and Shaw, the Fast and Furious spin-off.
Oh, wow.
There's another one?
There's going to be a million, Mark. Come on.
It's summer. It's still summer.
Yeah. Explosions, cars. Yep.
Can't beat it.
Nope.
All right, Will, thanks.
Thank you,
guys.
Will. We'll be right back.
You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4.
Here's a live look at a very sunny downtown Madison on this Monday afternoon.
It's like a postcard, doesn't it?
Summer in the city. Well, the FDA has recently approved a medical device that's giving patients with heart failure a second chance.
Hillary Lane shows us how a New York man got his life back.
When 72-year-old Woody Manzer moves around his house, he's tethered to a battery that sits on the floor of his living room. This is his lifeline. It powers his heart. Just 2 years ago, Manzer was in heart failure.
Don't remember it, but I guess I almost died. They said my heart function was down to less than 25%.
Great, you want to sit up for me?
He needed a heart transplant, but his older age made him ineligible for one. So his doctor, Milana Yosef-Polskaya from New York Presbyterian Columbia, recommended a medical device called an LVAD. The device is attached to the left ventricle and aorta of a patient's heart to help pump blood throughout the body. The power cord for the pump snakes through the body and out a port in the belly.
Once you reach advanced heart failure stages, the survival at 1 or 2 years is pretty poor. The LVAD has changed that completely. What the trial showed is that survival is over 75% at 2 years in these patients who otherwise would have not fared so well.
The FDA has now approved the LVAD for long-term use.
We have patients on the original pump for 8 years, and over 50% of our patients make it beyond 5-year mark.
Patients have to be extra careful of infection at the port site. And when Manzer leaves the house, he wears batteries weighing 7 pounds and carries an extra set just in case. Manzer says it's all worth it.
How does it feel to be back doing your normal activities that you love?
Actually, just fabulous. Definitely a second lease on life for me.
He spent much of the last 2 years traveling with his family, making every moment count. Hillary Lane, CBS News, Buchanan, New York.
Now, there is also an RVAD for failure of the right ventricle, and sometimes patients actually need both.
Modern medicine.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of which, it's time to get your medical questions answered. The number to call, 270-9933.
Dr. Zorba Pastor is standing by at his clinic in Oregon. Hi, Zorba. What are we talking about today?
Hi, guys. We're going to talk about dementia and Alzheimer's and good news on the horizon.
There we go. Sorry about that, guys. We do have a few accidents that we want to focus on right now. In Greene County, just north of Monroe, all lanes are blocked. 69 north at the exit to 11 eastbound. All lanes are blocked due to an accident that happened right before that exit. Looking up towards Middleton, or right near Middleton, on 12 and 14 southbound, the left lane is blocked right now, causing delays all the way up towards the exit to get off to 14. But this is right before the exit to Sauk Road. We also have a few delays on the northbound side of 12 and 14 just before that accident. Along the Beltline heading closer to downtown, we have delays eastbound, of course, speeds down to the teens on the westbound side, those delays just after Fish Hatchery Road. Wanakee, the delays seem fairly normal around DeForest, not seeing any major hiccups. To get from Janesville to the Beltline will take you 26 minutes, 16 minutes to get from Sauk City to Middleton, and then from Sun Prairie to downtown will be about an 18-minute commute for you this evening. That's a quick look at traffic.
All right, Jenna, thank you. Sotheby's auctioning off the James Bond 1965 Aston Martin DB5, which is widely known as the most famous car in the world. The iconic car was featured in the movie Goldfinger and has been fully restored with all of the Bond gadgets. The James Bond 007 Aston Martin estimated to sell for up to $6 million at next month's auction in Monterey.
That's pretty cool.
It is very cool. We are taking your calls today for Dr. Zorba Pastor.
The number to call is 270-9933, and we have 3 lines open. If you have a question today, Dr. Pastor joins us from his clinic in Oregon. Hi, Zorba.
Hi, good to see you guys.
Good to see you as well. And while we're waiting for some of the calls to screen, there is a new study in the Journal of the American Medical Association about dementia risk. What is that about?
Right. Well, it's on dementia risk and something called cognitive reserve. So it's a very interesting study. It comes out of Rush Medical School in Chicago. 2,000 people started the study back about 12 years ago. And they looked to see what were the risk factors, what were things that were more likely to make you have dementia. Half of all dementia is from Alzheimer's, and half of dementia is from cardiovascular disease, stroke, and so on. And they wanted to see what those risks were. Everyone in the study said when they die, when they perish, they would have their brains autopsied. What they found was that people who had something called cognitive reserve, if they went to the library when they were younger, if they read books, if they had education beyond high school, if as adults, as seniors, they had social interaction, which is very important for a cognitive reserve, give and go with conversation, that those people were less likely to have Alzheimer's and dementia. But that wasn't the most interesting part of the study. The most interesting part of the study was when they autopsied a number of people who had, like I said, cognitive reserve. They read, they thought, they played with, they talked with one another, they did things together. Some of those people who showed no signs of Alzheimer's and dementia actually had a brain that had the plaques and tangles of Alzheimer's disease. So in other words, pathologically, when you looked at their brain, it showed they had Alzheimer's, but in fact, they didn't show any manifestation of that. Why? Because they had cognitive reserve, because they kept on learning. And that's very important. Now, the important thing about this is this. For senior citizens, learning means interacting with other people. It's very clear that learning means going out to dinner with friends, talking to people on the telephone, meeting with people. That's important for senior citizens, and that's part of what we call senior citizen cognitive reserve that keeps your brain functioning, and that's the good news.
We are social human beings.
Yeah, very interesting.
We are social, yes.
All right, let's get to the phones. Let's start with Jeannie in Prairie du Sac. Hi, what's your question?
Hi, Dr. Zorba. By the way, I have respected you so many times. I watch you as much as I can. And by the way, Mark Keane and Susan Simon are my best news people. Yes, I have a question. I've been, I talked to you before about this. I've been diagnosed with severe neuropathy, and they put me on gabapentin for a while, 4 months. Mm-hmm. And I just gained weight, and it just was not helping with my pain at all. And now I'm on nothing now except for Tylenol, and it doesn't do any good. What can I do at home here to help relieve some of the tingling and pain in the bottom of my feet?
Sure. Well, first of all, you tried gabapentin and gained weight with it. There are other drugs in that class, Lyrica being one of them, Tegretol being another one, anti-seizure drugs that can be very, very useful. The other thing I would consider trying would be an antidepressant called doxepin, because doxepin is a drug that we find is very good for neuropathic pain, or something called a tricyclic antidepressant like nortriptyline. So there are other drugs that you can talk to your doctor about that may help. The other thing that sometimes helps at home is something called contrast baths. Contrast baths are where you have 2 buckets of water. One bucket has warm water, the other bucket has cold water from the sink with lots of ice cubes. And you put your feet in warm water for maybe 2 to 3 minutes until it gets nice and warm, and then you put put it in the ice cold bucket, and then you put it in warm water and in the bucket, and you go back and forth 3 or 4 or 5 times. And sometimes the heat and the cold will actually shut off those neurons that are in your feet and may actually give you some comfort. And it's a non-drug way that may help with your neuropathic pain. I would try that.
Very
It doesn't hurt to try it.
And Jeannie, thank you for the nice compliment
very
as
nice.
well. That was
Thank
very
you.
nice.
Thank you very much.
Let's go to Corey in McFarland. Hi, Corey. What's your question?
Okay, I'm 60 years old. I'm just recovering from a broken fibula. I have a knee that needs replacing. I've had both knees reconstructive surgery on them, and I'm wondering. I was told that because of the multiple surgeries that there's a likelihood of infections. At first, I wondered if that's really. How do you really know if somebody's going to get an infection based on earlier, surgeries and so forth? And does it make sense to do both knees at the same time as some have done, or one? Or here's the other one.
Well, if I had multiple surgeries, I would probably do one knee at a time. I think that's the safer way to go. I wouldn't do 2 knees at one time if you've had both knees reconstructed. The recovery is more difficult, and if you've had previous surgeries, it's going to be superly more difficult. So I would do 1 knee at a time. But I don't think having multiple surgeries necessarily puts you at a much higher risk. It may be a higher risk of the surgery because you've got scar tissue, but a good surgeon, good hospital, good pre-op care, good post-op care, I don't think the incidence of infection is going to be significantly higher. I think it's a matter of paying attention, doing all the right things before the surgery to keep your skin nice and healthy prior to the surgery. But I would not have both knees done at the same time. I'm a 1-knee person. Do 1 knee, get it fixed, do the next knee.
Yeah, I think I agree. The recovery of that would be horrendous. All right, we're out of time.
Yeah.
Thank you all for calling in. Zorba, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Zorba. Good
Thanks.
to see you.
My pleasure.
Be right back with the final check of your forecast.
The
Pretty nice evening coming up.
Really nice evening tonight, as we were just talking about. Yesterday was a little muggy. This weekend was a little muggy. Today's not too bad outside, but still feels very summery. We got some sunshine right now with a few fluffy clouds, of course, and our Doppler track's nice and quiet. But it is still a little warm. We're in the mid to low 80s for most of the area. 84 in Janesville, about 82 in Lone Rock and in Madison right now. And as we look at our dew points, they're hovering close to 60. By tomorrow, though, it's not going to be nearly as humid and high temperatures will be in the upper 70s for Tuesday. So if today's not too bad, tomorrow's just going to be really nice. Outside,
great.
very pleasant for Tuesday.
Below average highs.
Below average, and
For a
I'll
change.
take it.
Yeah.
Upper 70s and sunny is perfect for me.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. All right. Thank you, Dana. And tomorrow here on Live Before, Lisa Briggs from the Roost Company will be answering your plant and garden questions.
And Consumer Reports looks at some airline myths that could be costing you time and money. We'll talk about that tomorrow on Live at 4.
Do you
In today's Final Touch, how about a little pizza for dinner?
How about a lot of pizza? A 1,650-foot long